Right, so today's Shia, it's Hashem. I wanted to speak about the inyan of Schar Shabbos, which is very important. First of all, there's a particular lack of clarity, and I decided to be ma'ayan a bit to try and get a klarkeit exactly what the Issa is and its halachic implications. So shaylas, we always like to have a shayla masis, paying for a hotel. You're in a hotel, or you've hired a dira, or let's say bist a chussid, and you've come for the Rebbe's Sheva Brochus, and you arrive just before Shabbos, and then straight Motzei Shabbos you're away, so you're paying for Shabbos for being in the dira Shabbos. A babysitter, you need to also make sure you've got a babysitter that's going to look after your kinderlich whilst you're away. Can you pay this babysitter? She's coming just on Shabbos. Or let's say you're going to the mikveh only on Shabbos. Or maybe even if you go other days during the week, but you pay it always separately. So Shabbos, you go to the mikveh, you want to pay for Shabbos. Certainly a lady definitely has a shayla. If someone's, we're talking about havlah, could be, with men maybe we could have such a situation, but a lady's going to the mikveh on Shabbos, definitely she pays just for the use of Shabbos. You've got a bank account and you're getting ribbis on the bank account, you're getting a certain percentage, and you're getting it's every day, they pay you per day, so you're getting your money, yeah? Oh, okay, we'll discuss that. So does that help? 12 to 12. Very good. So let's say it's 12. So again, what happens in a case, I'm jumping, but let's say when we talk about havlah, that we're swallowing it into the payment, will that help us? And a waiter, you got away, you're making a simcha on Shabbos, so you're paying a waiter to come in. Definitely, they come in Friday night and they go, they spend a good few hours there, serving the food, and then you pay them. Car hire. So, car hire, you've got Reish Mem Hey problem, Reish Mem Gimel, Daled, Hey Vav problems. But let's say in the case where it's not called Nav car. Let's say it's not called where everyone can see it's a Yiddish hire place. Let's say for argument's sake it's a car hire. You've got a connection with Hertz Rent-A-Car. Everyone knows it's a goyish firm and it's done by Ofen HaMutter, but you're hiring it just for Shabbos and there's a Yid involved. Can you pay? Waiters, and there's lots and lots of shaylas, but there's no end to the various shaylas how we're going to sort with that.
Why is renting car not a problem?
Well, it depends. That's another thing you have to see. Who? To pay. Well, let's see. Let's discuss that. Let's discuss it. Let's see what the Gemara says, and then we'll take it from there. So there's the brisa. The truth is like this. So you could say, okay, no, Schar Shabbos is like a problem, but the minute I've got a shtickle heter, so then it makes it a lot easier. So I would like to start with the modcha that you just saw in Reish Mem Hey, where the Tur says, the Torah speaks about in Reish Mem Hey, the Torah speaks about Ofu Goyim. If a lot of Goyim baked, if Goyim used your tanur to bake some bread, so he brings the modcha. I'm using this new tool. Beis Yosef, the beginning of Beis Vav. Beis Yosef, beginning of Beis Vav. Yes. Kosev Ashkayach. Thank you very much. Kosev b'modcha perikamat de Shabbos. It's brought down the Mechaber. I thought the Torah brings it down, but the Mechaber brings it down as halacha. But the Modcha brings the Moed Gemodcha steht da. Modcha says in perikamat de Shabbos. Simon Reish Mem Vav Shem Ofu Goyim Betanuroi Shel Yisrael. If Goyim baked even by force Yeah, Al Karchoy, they took the tanur off him and they baked it. V'nosnu pas bischar hatanur oser lehenois mimenu. So you see that Schar Shabbos is not something to be sneezed at. It's not a shvacha issa. It's so strong that the money that you get for Schar Shabbos, you mustn't have a no from the money. Because of Oid Shom, Shekol Schar Shabbos v'chilufei Shabbos. It's a bit like Shmita. It's a bit like Shmita money. Not only is Schar Shabbos also, but chilufei Shabbos is also afila b'di'evet. Da ketoni v'im bo lecheshbon also. When bo lecheshbon come and not lagoy b'Shabbos, v'kam yisro v'ech b'Shabbos di'evetu. That's a case of b'di'evet. And nevertheless, it's also. And it's interesting. So this is the Matcha, and I feel this Matcha is the Makayr for everyone quotes. They don't quote the Matcha, they all quote the Shulchan Aruch Harav. Shulchan Aruch Harav says, the famous Shulchan Aruch Harav, where the Shulchan Aruch Harav says that it's that the Issa in Siman Yutes she'osa lehanis mischaze la'olam bein hu bein acherim bein hu ubein acherim bein hu bein acherim. So they all quote the Shulchan Aruch Harav. I think the Makar will be for this Madcha. So you see, it's quite a chomer de gezach. On the one hand, it is quite a chomer de gezach. On the other hand, it seems that there's a stira between the Beis Yosef in Siman Shin Vov and the Beis Yosef in Siman Tov Kuf Pei Hey, where in Siman Shin Vov, if you remember, then Beis Yosef speaks, the Mechaber, the Tur speaks about Chazonim. How do we cope with Chazonim? How do we cope with Chazonim on Shabbos and Yom Tov, that they're singing for us on Shabbos and Yom Tov, which is actually also a Madcha, and the Madcha is in Perek Afalpi, because the Gemara, there's another Gemara that speaks about Schar Shabbos in Perek Afalpi, which we'll soon see, because there's a few Gemaras. Gemara in the Torim, there's a Gemara in Lamed Zayin, the Gemara, same Gemara is brought down in Bob Metzia Nun Ches, and then there's also a Gemara in Afalpi Samach Dalet, Afalpin Samach Dalet Omid Beis. So the Gemara, the Madcha says in Psot Perek Afalpi, Sheposa Korav Rabbeinu Baruch Yesh Li Chashash Ala Chazonim Shemaskirim Oisam Leispalol B'Shabbos. How can we hire Chazonim to daven on Shabbos? V'Rav Rabbeinu Shmuel Omer De'ein Issa Do'Noisnim Schal L'Kayim HaMitzvahs Leispalol. So he was Matzeh Ve'eni Mevin, says the Beis Yosef, Ve'eni Mevin Divrei Rav Rabbeinu Shmuel, the Sof Schaf. Oh, so what? He's doing a mitzvah. As far as he's concerned, Schar Shabbos heim noitlin. Ve'efsha to'achi ka'ama shadov hazeh eino osa ele midrabanon, that the whole thing is only a issa drabanon, u'b'makom mitzvah loy hamidu divrayim. Yeah? But if you look, so he's saying, it seems to say that it's taka a very chomer digazach, Schar Shabbos is a very chomer, but b'mokai mitzvah, Chazal didn't make the issa. So this groisa chumra, the asas, the chilufi, as the Shulchan Aruch Harav says, that is only shaloi b'mokai mitzvah. Ava b'mokai mitzvah not. Now if you look at Arichas Godel and Hilchos Rosh Hashanah, where he speaks about Schar Chazonim in Tov Kuf Pei Hey, so the Beis Yosef's got a completely different mahalach, and there he wants to say, very schwere Werte, he wants to say that, okay, it's not in this chelek, he wants to say that, if you look at it afterwards, it's very interesting, where he wants to be marich, that since the whole Issa is a Shvacha Issa, and the Emes L'Gzeira is because of Mekech and Mimka, and maybe it's Gzeira L'Gzeira, the Kitzah Zokre, in a case where the Chazonim, so Mamela, Hat Mameka. So it's a complete different matter. Here he's saying, B'moka Mitzvah Loi Gozru. There he's saying that B'moka Mitzvah one doesn't have to be Machne. So L'chayra, it's two Beis Yosefs with a complete different mahalach. One, he's saying that there's a Moka Mitzvah where like Gozru above the Yisoid is a very chomodig Yisoid, and this is something which keeps on throwing back and forward as we look at all the various cases in the Gemara. On the one hand, it seems Schar Shabbos is only a drabonon. On the other hand, we've got here these moiridige chumras, and so how do we cope with all this lemaisa? So what I want to do is, I'll start off the Gemara in Bava Metzia. It so happens that I've got an Adorim here. I don't even have an Adorim. It's the Gemara in Bava Metzia. Steht also Hasoiches Apoel. Steht, sorry. Oh, thank you very much. So the Gemara says in Bava Metzia, Hasoiches Apoel Lishmer es Apora, Lishmer es Atinoik. So Hasoiches Apoel Lishmer es Apora, Tinoik, Lishmer es Hazroim. Now it's very interesting. The Lashonos are very interesting. So it says here, the Gemara brings a Lashon Ein Noisnin Loi Schar Shabbos. Lashon Ein Noisnin Loi Schar Shabbos is mashma, it's a din on the Soicha, that it's a din on the Noisin. He shouldn't give it. Lefichach, so it's a Choshe Mishpat Gedin, Ein Achrayus Shabbos Olav. Hoyos Schei Shabbos Schei Chodesh Schei Shana Schei Shavua Noisnin Loi Schar Shabbos Lefichach Achrayus Shabbos Olav. Says Rashi, if it's Schar Shavua, Noisnin Loi Schar Shabbos, why? Shenivla B'schar Shar Hayomim Ve'einoi Mefurish L'Shabbos. That's how Rashi explains. Noisnin Loi Schar Shabbos, Shavuos, because it's not Mefurish L'Shabbos. So since it's not Mefurish L'Shabbos, so that is a heter. So l'cha'ira is mashma that it's a issa on the noisen. As is mashma. It's mashma is a issa on the noisen. Masha einkein, if it's nivla b'shara yomim, it's not a issa on the noisen. Which l'cha'ira is very, very schwer. Because if the whole issa is on the noisen, so why suddenly, and not only that, if there is as the noisen, so come tois, and you're telling me that if you give it pahavlo, then it's going to be okay. So I've got a very simple eitzah. Every time I've got a problem with Schar Shabbos, I'll ask the Makabel, I'll give him something pahavlo. I'll find up some eitzah to be mavliat with something, right? So it's a little schwer. And also, why should the Achrayas Shabbos? Why should, if the whole Issa is just on the Noisen, why should the Achrayas Shabbos be in Achrayas Shabbos Olav? Achrayas Shabbos Olav, mashma, it's a din on the Makabel. It's not a din on the Noisen. So you're going to tell me that when there's a Issa Schar Shabbos, so then there will mafkia the Chiyuv Nesina. Now, if you look in the Rambam says, so these are Shver Lashonos. The Rambam's also very difficult to understand, because the Rambam says in Perek Vov, there's two Rambams actually. Two Rambams. One is in Perek Vov, and then there's another Rambam which is even more difficult to understand. So the Rambam in Perek Vov Halacha Chof Hei says, the last Rambam, Hasoiches Apoel Lishmer Lo Es Apara Ve'es Atinoik Lo Yitein Lo Schoroi Shel Shabbos. Mashma it's a din on the Noisen, Lo Yitein Lo. Lefichach Ein Achrayus Shabbos Olav. V'im hoyo hasoches Ches Shabbos or Ches Shana Noisen Lo Schoroi Meshalem Lefichach Achrayus Shabbos Olav. So the notion of lo yitein is very shver, is mashmas a din on the noisen. Shver, very shver. I mean, the most I found in the poskim is the Bach. The Bach wants to say in Reish Mem Vov, the Bach wants to say that it's a din als lifne eva. If it's a din on the noisen, it's a lifne eva. Because if you look in the Tur completely brings it differently. The Tur in Shin Vov, Sif Dalet, says Hasoiches Apoel Lishmer Lo Para also Lo Likach. It's a din on the Makabel. Also Lo Likach Schar Shabbos. The Fichach Ein achrayus Shabbos olav. Schor lechodesh oy leshana muter loy likach schar Shabbos lefichach achrayus Shabbos olav. The way the Tur brings it, it's a din on the Makabel, not a din on the Noisein. The last bit of the Tur is the Rambam, where the Rambam suddenly changes. Obviously, he's talking about on the Makabel. Rambam says, "V'lo yoim aloi ten li schara shel Shabbos, ela oim aloi ten li schara shel shana oy shel asara yomim." So it's mashma, very interesting. The Rambam starts off saying a dinan lo yitein, that if you're a babysitter, you're shomer es atinoik, lo yitin lo schara shel Shabbos, and memela there's no achrayus Shabbos olav, and then he's saying something else, als wissen sein, lo yoim aloi, when you're saying it, don't say it in a way that is mashma, that I'm saying, ten li schara shel Shabbos. Which is also, you must understand, because mashma from the Rambam, that there's two things. There's one where there's the etzem din of schar Shabbos, and then it seems another one where you're coming along and you're saying a loshen where it says mechzik schar Shabbos. Now you're going to tell me, where did I get that from? I'll tell you where I got that from. I got that from the Gemara in Ksubas. The Gemara is talking about what happens if a man is moired al ishtoi in Samach Daled Amud Beis. Now the Gemara there speaks about that for a man, when he is moired al ishtoi, for a woman that's moiredes al bala, so we're menaka from her ksuba every single day. When he is moired al ishtoi, so then we're moisif on her ksuba, the Mishnah says, 3 tarapikin every single week, which works out the chatzi tarapik every single day. And the Gemara asks, why not? It works out 6, the 6 days of the week. So the Gemara says, in Samach Daled Amud Aleph, turning on to Samach Daled Amud Beis, Umayshna I de lo yavina na de Shabbos. So the Gemara says, I de mifches kopachis, when she's losing, when she's a moiredes, lo mechzik es chas Shabbos. Ihu de oisufi ko moisfu, where he is being moisif, mechzik es chas Shabbos. It doesn't say about chas Shabbos, mechzik es chas Shabbos. So you could say that there's two things. There's chas Shabbos mamish, and then there's mechzik es chas Shabbos. Rashi says, what's the problem with chas Shabbos? Kamoisha mistaka b'Shabbos, gzeira mishum mekach umimka uschirus. Gzeira mishum mekach umimka uschirus. So that's the gzeira here. So when it's not mefurish l'Shabbos, Rashi Lishito say when it's not mefurish l'Shabbos, for some reason, then there's no gzeira mishum mekach umimka.
I'm saying that if you end up saying Shabbos, then that is Shabbos. If you have a law, but that's called by those.
But if it's not,
say Shabbos, that
is Chas Shabbos. Yeah. Okay, so these are all things which we want to address. The most important thing is the Tosfos there on the base, which is very, very nagea, which is Geboit the Mogan Avram, which is really what I wanted, the main thing I wanted to say about today's Shia. But before that, we must not forget a special Rambam, which one of you was ma'ira to me in Perek Chof Gimel on the Gemara that you learned in Perek Chof Gimel Halacha Chof Daled. The Gemara there is talking about Chas v'Sholom, there's a fire, and Chazal only let a person take only a certain amount of schayra out. So the Gemara has got a Mori the Ge'etza that he should say la'acherim boyu v'hatzilu lochem. All of you should come and save for yourselves. Don't save for me. Don't help me. Save for yourself. V'chol echod ve'echod matzil mozoin shu tzorech loy oy keili echod shemachzik afilu dov agodol v'arir shel matzil. Now the Rambam is pilei ploim shver Rambam. Rambam says v'im loy rotza matzil lekachtoi v'nosin leba'olov. If the matzil didn't want to take it for himself, but he actually gave it back to the owner, mutter little mimenu acha Shabbos cha amola. He's allowed to get the money from him. Why? Ve'ein zeh scha Shabbos. So, and now I'm going to hear you say it once and for all. Why is it not called scha Shabbos? Says the Rambam, Sharei ein shom melacha. He didn't do a melacha. Veloi Issa, and I didn't do a Issa, Shaloi Haitziu, Elo b'mokai mu'urav. I only took it out, only a mokai mu'urav. Is the Shver, the Rambam, is go Shver, what if there's no malacha? What kind of a malacha is babysitting involved? Where's some Furisha Gemara? Shlish Mores Atinoik. There's Leichnish Kam malacha, and nevertheless, I think. So the Be'emes of Magid Mishnah asked the Kasha, the Shaila is, what's the teretz? So it's very, very unclear what's pshat in it. Sorry? Not really. You're asking a very good question, because the Gemara in Bob Matzia is talking about like Abakachu, very good, but the teretz is that all the Rishonim explain the fact that the Rambam pulled it out and threw it at the end of Perek Vov is quite clear that the Rambam is taking it not a din stammer. Stam nishkan tzarech mitzvah at all. It's just but the Rambam takes it out of the context as a dvar mitzvah and he brings it down lahalacha. That's how the Rishonim learn pshat in there. That's klar, Zoi. And the truth is, from the Gemara and the Dorim is mashma Zoi, and the Tosefta brings it as a separate thing. The Tosefta brings it as a separate thing. Actually, talking about the Tosefta, the Makayr is a Tosefta in Shabbos. But from the Rambam itself, the way the Rambam says Zichazoi, and from the way the Tosefta brings it. In the Tosefta, it's very interesting, because the Tosefta uses a loshon of there's various girsas in the Tosefta. The Tosefta says a loshon of einay noisen loy, lo yitein loy. So from in learning in the Chilufi Girsois there, how pshat in the Tosefta, you could explain that if it's a din that he shouldn't, that I don't get it, if that's the girsa, so then enochanami it's a din in the makabel. But lemaisa, you can't even give Shabbos to go. Yeah. There's also a thing. So, okay. So now is a Zoy. Tosfos in Ksubas. So this is now what I want to get to. Tosfos asks a kasha. Mechsik is Chas Shabbos. There's one more Gemara before we get to that. The Gemara in Shabbos, which you've all seen. Gemara in Yutes, Amud Aleph, the Gemara in Yutes, where the Gemara is a Pele de Gezach, and they all ask, why does the Rambam not bring this down la halacha? The Gemara Yutes. The Gemara says, Tonu Rabbonon, lo yaske odom kelov l'nochri be'erev Shabbos. So there it's going on the Mishnah of Meleches, whether Machlokes b'Shama b'Sfilol, whether you mitzvah on your kelim mitam melocha. So steht lo yaske odom kelov l'nochri be'erev Shabbos. So Rashi says, lasos behem melocha be'erev Shabbos, the nearer Shemaskiroi loy l'tzarech Shabbos. So Rashi is learning that it's a reish mem heitigedin. That it looks like he's going to be using your nav car on Shabbos. He's using your car on Shabbos, or using your thing on Shabbos. Maskiroi l'Shabbos. So there's a maras ayin. Tosfos says, Ein lefarish mishum shvisas kelim. Please don't explain that the reason why lo yaske odom kelev l'nocher be'erev Shabbos is because of shvisas kelim. Ukabei Shammai. Then can afilu b'rebi v'chamishi. Nami. What's the difference if there's a din on shvisas kelim? Okay, so Rashi's answered that. Yeah, erev Shabbos is more nearer. Yeah, but Tosfos is saying, why b'rebi v'chamishi can I also not? Elo kebei silali, says Tosfos. The less lo shvisas kelim. V'chaluk v'talis. A kiyoytz ben ahayt l'shayich shvisas kelim. Tosfos favos is also. Zog Tosfos lefi shenira k'noitel schar Shabbos. It looks like you're taking schar Shabbos. Tosfos on himself, I don't understand. Ava pisha maskira yachad chodesh or shavua. The maskira l'yoyim afilu b'revi'ah b'chamishi also. K'demash b'sof hazor. That's important Tosfos. Gabi soicha poilem lishma paro tinik. V'davka l'soichroi demechsi k'noit l'schar Shabbos avol she'ela sharia to be shoyel the kelim, you're allowed to. But to be soiche the kelim, that you're not allowed to, because it's mechsi kischa Shabbos. If you do it for a shavua, chodesh, a shavua, would be okay. Over here you're not. You're doing it Erev Shabbos, for Shabbos. So then you're not allowed to. So that's how Tosfos learns, and this should be halacha l'maisa. Person shouldn't be maskeh, and a lot of Rishonim bring this down, halacha l'maisa. Shaila is, why didn't the Rambam bring it down? They all much of themselves. Why does the Rambam not bring this down, halacha l'maisa? Why does? Sorry? Because he's learning al Shvisas Kelim. Yeah, L'chayr Tosfos is gerecht. Why doesn't he do it? Yeah. So I saw, but now I'm going off complete tangent, but if I'm already mentioning it, so I saw that in the Grach al Ashas, on the Rambam, he says Azavot. He says Azavot. Let's see if I can find it, because there isn't one here in the shul as far as I know. There is one. Oh, very good. Is it new?
Yeah.
He must have bought it because I complained to him. Oh, very good. So he says here, like this. He says here, so the Grach says like this, for Omar HaGrach Zal, the Geder Issa Schar Shabbos, Einoi the Osa Laharviach B'Yom HaShabbos. Schar Shabbos doesn't mean I'm not allowed to be Marviach on Schar Shabbos. Elohim Oisa Melacha Afti Melacha HaMuteres K'moi B'Shoymer Esaporo. Mokav Hecha de Mistaka B'Zeh Osa Lishmor Mishum Schar Shabbos V'Hashmira Asura. Right? The Issa is only from Oisa Melacha Afti Melacha HaMuteres. Ubezeh Yushev Das Arif, it means a Rambam as well. But be'emes the Issa will be Schar Shabbos. Mi'emu ein yoyse klum v'shayach leser. If you learn, right? He says you learn like Beishamai, could be Beishamai, where Shvisas Kelim is a Malacha. So Mamela, there's a Issa of Schar Shabbos. Masha'enkein, according to Beis Hillel, Shvisas Kelim is not a Malacha. Mamela is not a Issa of Schar Shabbos. There's the Chatzorach here in Godel, right? The same thing. What do you mean it's not a Malacha? If there is an Issa, because I'm using the Keli, if it's Schar Shabbos, so what's the difference from Shomer Satinik? What's the difference between Shmiras Tinik and that? Yeah, that's the Tzorach in Godel, which everybody bleibs schwer on this. Reb Chaim Brisker, this Mipia Shmur, everybody bleibs schwer. It's the Chapella. How can you say such a thing? How can you say such a thing? Yeah. Okay. So is Azoi. Tosfos, let's get back to Tosfos in Samach Daled Amud Beis. Tosfos asks a kasha on the story there, the Gabba, the Ksuba. V'im toima v'hoscha Shabbos al yedei havloe mutter k'daminim b'perik hazov. Gemara says, im hoyo schir Shabbos, schir chodesh, schir shana, noisnin loi schar Shabbos. Says the Schar Shabbos is mutter. So why make such a fuss? It's Mechzik is Schar Shabbos. It's Mechzik is Schar Shabbos. It's doch sehr schwer. V'yesh loima the hacha osa, says Tosfos, mishum deloi havi kamoi havloa. It's not like havloa. The ein moisifin lechol Shabbos yachad elama she'oila b'chol yoim v'yoim. She'im yispayas hayoim oilamacha be'emtza hashavua ein mitzdarfin kol yemei hashavua zeh zeh. So Tosfos Yisayit, and the Ran says the same thing, and this causes a ganze tumul with a whole set of chumras in Lagaba Schar Shabbos. Sends everybody scrambling to try and find their Teirim because of this Tosfos. Tosfos says that the Issa is here, there's a Issa of Schar Shabbos, is because she'im yispayas hayoim oilamacha be'emtza shavua ein mitzdarfin. So Mamela, it's called a separate entity. Every day is a separate day. You're getting every single day a separate day. Like Rishonim explain. If there wouldn't be a problem of Schar Shabbos, a woman would get 3.5 tare pekin because she'd be getting a half every single day. Comes along the Mogen Avraham, kommt sich onat the Mogen Avraham, and he says, according to this, he just doesn't understand the Bedek Habayis. It's the Chapela, the Bedek Habayis. What does the Bedek Habayis say? The Bedek Habayis in Shim Vov says like this: Hasoicha poelim lishmor para, lishmor es hatinak, brings the Kosvu, says the Beis Yosef, the Kosvu, Harosh, Harif, Varosh, Beperek Shoil, the Sai Mubar, this Meridiga Chiddush, V'lo yoim aloi ten nischora shel Shabbos, the way the Rambam brings it, Ela oim aloi ten nischora shel Asor Yomim, v'chein kos of a Rambam, Sof Perek Vov, v'chein kos of Sefer Mitzvahs Godel, comes along the Bedek Habayis, and he says like this: Kosov b'shibole haleket, also Rishon, shibole haleket, Kosov b'shibole haleket, Shem oim aloi kach v'kach titen li b'chodesh, I want you to give me azoy and azoy feel ta'ein chodesh. Right? I'm working for you. I'm got a job as a chveistis, I don't know what, an accountant, or I don't know whatever it is. Maybe even a schirus, could be anything, could be 1,000, whatever. Kach v'kach titen li b'chodesh, sheyovoy kach loyoim, which works out every single day. That means I'm making a cheshbon azay. I want $20 a day, and there's 30 days in the month, so it's 30 times $20. Havinami kischar Shabbos. Havinami kischar Shabbos. Zok the Bedek Habayis, the ein nira kein midivrei hapoiskim shekosafti b'somo. In the l'cha'ira, it doesn't make sense, says the Bedek Habayis. I do not understand the shibole haleket, because I've just quoted these Rishonim that learn nishtazoi. So mimonavshach. He's basically bought the Rishonim, and he's bought the inyan of b'loyoim aloi ten nischora shel Shabbos. And he brings the Rambam. Where does he see in these Rishonim that they're not maskim to it? Where does he see that? That's number one. Means the Rambam, where? Where does he see that in the Rambam? That's number one. Number two, I've got the Mogen Avraham. Bring down the Shulchan Aruch. Sorry. Comes along the Mogen Avraham. Comes along the Mogen Avraham in Shin Vav Sif Dalet. He saw this thing of Mogen Avraham, and he says, "Ve'efsha de loyro devrei Aran." The Ran is the same as Tosfos that we just quoted in Samach Daled Amud Beis, in Shabbos Samach Daled Amud Beis. Shekosov hatam she'im yisalku be'emtza shavua ein tzorach l'shalem loy ba'ad ha-shavua kula elo ba'ad ha-yomim she'avru. That if my whole makeup of the agreement is that it's every day is a separate entity, olechein mikris cheyoim b'havis cha Shabbos ad kan umuchach kein me'agamora. And das is the Ran and Tosfos bring it on Moredes, on Mored Alishtoi, that you see you can have something which looks like a schar chodesh and it's nicht getoigen, nicht geflogen. It's not a schar chodesh, it's a schar yoim yoim. It's taka a nice block. It taka looks like it's a schar chodesh, but it's nicht a schar chodesh. Azoi fragt the Mogen Avraham, and the Mogen Avraham takes it further. V'hu adin b'maske cheder l'chaveroi. If you're renting a house, you're not allowed to pay schar Shabbos. If it works out that I'm doing it yoim you're not allowed to pay schar Shabbos. Called the Mogen Avraham. V'nirali Du hadin a malvin beribus. You go to the bank, you get a nice 5, 6, 7% interest. Tzrichim lahalvois beinyun shem yifra beemtza shavua yifra mikol shavua kula. It goes in blocks. Has to go in blocks of weeks. It doesn't work out according to the day. As far as I know, most agreements today work according to the day. Go according to the day. Oy lo yifru klal. V'lo yachshav lo yomim. Don't make a cheshbon of yomim, zok the Mogen Avraham. Do afilu gabe moire de konsu kol zman shoy moire ditin kach v'kach lo yom afilu hacha also lot leset mishem Shabbos. Da haveleis cha Shabbos v'huadim b'chol knas v'chayotze b'roi. Aval in poichsin lo yom ha'chayiv, that he brings a raya from moiredes, where you're poiches from the chayiv, where Tosfos doesn't have a problem with that. Says the Mogen Avraham, in poichsin lo yom ha'chayiv kol yom kach v'kach lo mikris cha Shabbos v'chayotze b'zeh chemashma v'gemorah ksubas. So if you're poiches loy, nicht so gefährlich. If you're moisef, then you're going to have a problem. So according to Mogen Avraham, heich motzinu yodeinu beragleinu. But what's even more schwer according to Mogen Avraham is the better kabbai is going to grow Talmid Chacham in Beis Yosef. So what he says clearly. First of all, it's very not mistaba that he didn't know this Tosfos in Ksubas, and the Gemara in Ksubas is from the Gemara itself is mochach nishtazoi, so you're going to have to be mechalak. And second of all, he's saying something here. He's saying midivri ha-poskim is nishtazoi, is mashma nishtazoi. Yeah. So what's the stack of the pshat? What's the stack of the pshat? So be'emes hazoi. So again, so in the Rambam, we're saying here that there's two things is mashma from the Rambam. That the Rambam is saying, the Rambam's mechalek two things here. First of all, he's saying that it has to be a Schar Shabbos, because it mustn't be Schar Shabbos. That's number one. And number two, he's saying that even if you are taking ba'ofen hamuta, but you mustn't say it in a way, you mustn't say it in the wrong fashion, so to speak. The wrong fashion, so to speak. Yeah? So you've got the etzem issa when you makabel the tashlum for Schar Shabbos, and then you've got the Amir. Now, if we're going to say this in the Rambam, so is mashma not like the Ram. Right? The fact that the Rambam is telling me that you mustn't say it, that once you've got a block of Shabbos, it's good enough, is mashma that he's learning like Rashi Svara that the Ikam Nekuda is that it's not Mefurish l'Shabbos. As is mashma. Right? And from Rashi's Lashon Oichet is mashma zay, that the Ikam Nekuda is that it mustn't be Mefurish l'Shabbos. And if as long as it's not Mefurish l'Shabbos, then there's no Issa of Schar Shabbos. And also from the fact that he says V'lo yoim aloi, elo yoim aloi ten yasara yomim, mashma says it's a oifen amira. But mashma the Rambam that he wouldn't be mechalak. Right? So kumto esazoi. It could be that be'emes azoi. It's not only the Mogen Avraham that's saying something. The Ramah already brings this. If you look in the Ramah in Sif Dalet, Shin Vav Sif Dalet, already says, after finishing the Rambam, V'lo yoim aloi, ten li shel Shabbos, V'lo yoim aloi, ten li schar shavua, oya chodesh, says the Ramah, V'im sochroi lechodesh, v'hisna imoi, l'shalem loi, kol yoim, kach v'kach mikris cheyoim, and the Ramah quotes that as the Ram. Now, l'cha'ira, it's choluk b'yisoid the words of the Ramah and the words of the Shibolei Aleket, because the Ramah is saying that he's socher lechodesh and he makes a tanai to pay him kol yoim v'yoim. The Shibolei Aleket's not saying that. The Shibolei Aleket is saying, Shem oimeloi kach v'kach titen li b'chodesh. I'm now b'shas piska. I am now making it in a way where it's einoi mefurish l'Shabbos. I'm making it as a shar chodesh. No, you should know it's geboit on every single day being a separate entity. Sheyovoi kach leyoim havinamikas chashabes. I've got here a huge big machlekes between the Magen Avraham and the actual Ramah. Because the Magen Avraham is being matzik the Bedek with the Shibbolei Aleket, which the Bedek Habayis rejects mitam the Rishonim. Because the reason why the Beis Yosef rejects the Shibbolei Aleket is because the minute I've got one chativo b'shas piska, and certainly b'shas tashlumin, or at least b'shas piska, my agreement is that there has to be a chativa of shavua, or the shana, or the chatzi shana, then it's einem mefurish l'Shabbos, that's already a heta. So I don't care the fact that it's kol yom v'yom. And it could be, I'm not sure, it could be that even if he can be chayzer be'emtza, it might also be a heta. Das sagt the Beis Yosef, the Einaik Nera came with Divrei HaRishonim Shekosafti, because the Rambam doesn't say all the Rambam says. I've got a chativa, and then b'shas amira, you should be careful not to say asor yomim. The way the Magen Avraham is learning, he is being matzik the Shibbolei Aleket, which is completely different to the Ramah, and he is saying, which is completely different to the Ramah, and he is saying that even in a case where I've got a chativa achas, but if it's geboit on the fact that I've got yoim, that alone is already a problem. Kumdos the Magen Avraham is a huge chumrah, l'maisa. It's a huge chumrah. I'm not saying we have to be machmeh like the Magen Avraham unless we find the eitzah, but it's a huge chumrah, the Magen Avraham. You're going to ask me, what did the Beis Yosef do with the Gemara in Ksubas? The teretz is, in the Gemara in Ksubas, it's an andere Sache in Ganzen, because the Gemara in Ksubas, there, Bezdin's whole takana was to be moisef on this fellow every single day. Bezdin didn't want to give him a one-off knas, because Bezdin wanted to hurt this fellow, because they want him to stop being moinea mi ishtay she'er ksus va'oina. So memela, that's the whole idea of a moirid. The idea of a moirid is to punish him, that it should go dafka yoim yoim. Now, if you look in all the Rishonim there, they explain what I've said a few times already today, that the three tarapikin is every single one a hosofa of every single day, because they want it dafka to be like that every single day should be a hosofa. So me'ika, the takona of the knas which we're moisef on the Meirid, is that every single day is a separate entity. Masha'en Kain, which is certainly better even than the Ramah's case of a tzorach l'shalom like kol yom v'yom. Masha'en Kain in the Magen Avraham's chiddush mehecha teisa. Aber al kaponim, wie es kommt eis that you have again, my raya from that there is azar, that the aside is that you go after psikas, the amount that you're going to get, is from the Gemara in Shabbos and Perek Kol Kisvei, which I mentioned, except you've got the Rambam, which completely throws us off balance. What's pshat in the Rambam? But the Geraya is from the Gemara in Perek Kol Kisvei, because the Gemara in Kol Kisvei says, V'mha you pikchin, the yodi, the kahai gavna lav scha Shabbos hi, oisin imoy cheshben, Zok Rashi, explains Rashi in Kuf Chof there, lagabo boyu v'hatzilu from the fire, the yoda, the kahai gavna lav scha Shabbasu. Why? The mikara lavadate the scha pa'ula nochis. He didn't go there. So sometimes you see that the aside is that it's b'shas mikara b'shas. When I go into the scha, that is the koivea. Are you going there because you're doing a matona? Are you going there as it's a chativa achas? Or are you going there als a scha pa'ula thing? So this is l'chayra going to be the machlokes. Chazonim, again, we must understand. How do we understand Chazonim? Chazonim steht in Darke Moshe, Sikot and Chof, in Shim Vov there, steht in Darke Moshe. Sorry, base. Sorry. Upshita de bechazonim shelanu shesoichem oisam l'shana ein issa b'dava. So you've got the heta of mitzvah, but if you don't have that mitzvah, so comes along the Ramah and says, Upshita de bechazonim shelanu soichem oisam l'shana ein issa b'dava. And then he brings straight away, Kosav Haran, Sof Perek Afalpi, Im Schor Lechoidish, O Im Hisna Imish, Yishalem Lev, Vichesh B'Yomim, Mikri Schei Yoim, V'havi Schei Shabbos, Reyocha Lakse B'Emtza HaChoidish, V'lachein Loi Mikri, Schei HaChoidish. According to Magen Avraham, he's being Soisa himself, Minei Ovei. The way we've said it, it's at least we understand it a bit. With the Emes, there's something else which we must understand. And this goes into the etzem yesod of Havlah here. How does it work? At the end of the day, how does it work? If it's clear to me that I'm not interested in hiring you with an extra day during the week, so mehechatesa that should be a heta. Let's say it b'Toras Shaila. We're saying the Gemara in Nedarim says clearly. That's the Gemara in Nedarim, Lamed Zayin. Let's do it b'Toras Shaila. Gemara in Nedarim, Lamed Zayin says like this: B'Shabbos mi asa havlahi v'havla mishashari. Explains the Ran, Shemavliya scha yom HaShabbos bichlal scha hayom. So if you're mavliya something, it's mutter. It's mutter. How does it work? How far can I get away with a ma'aser havlah? How far can I get away with it? Tosfos there says, Shescha Shabbos nivla v'loy mechzi kemekach hamimka shepoisik loy kach lachatzi shona. Mashma that the vort is that since Chas Shabbos is muvla in the chativa of the chatzi shona, memela das shoyn beseder. Now what happens in a case where the Schar Shabbos, I've got here a major crisis, I need a babysitter for Shabbos, and I need to now be mavliya it. Yeah, someone just asked me, Shaila. Yeah, she had to babysit on Shabbos. Desperate needed a babysitter on Shabbos. No. So now how's it going to go? So this lady told her, you know what? So she told this lady, I'm very sorry, I babysitted for you, I mustn't take the money. It's Chas Shabbos. So this lady, a grocer chachomta, she says, you know what? I'm giving it to you as a matona. So she comes to me and she says, well, did I do the right thing? Or is she right? She said, I'm giving it to you b'matona. So I said, wait a minute. She said she's giving it to you b'matona. It's a issa on you to be makabel. I'm not sure if it's a issa on the noisen. Okay, we've got a shver l'shoynus, but the issa's on the makabel. So if there isn't a couple, so it means it's not going to help you. If she's wrong, it's not going to help you. Novos, so da prima godim. The prima godim, which the Mishnah Berurah brings one word, and if you look up at the prima godim, it's also one word. That there's a heta if you give it as a matona. It's not schar Shabbos, you give it a matona. But maybe the prima godim is talking about where you don't do a aroma, where you could give it as a proper matona, or in the case where it's a emes matona. But maybe this is a proper aroma. So if it's a proper aroma, it's not going to be a heta at all. So now we need to find the heta of Avlah here. Wait. So Prima Godim just says one word. Matona is okay. What? In the case of Schashav, let's see. What? So I want to come to that. I'm going to tell you something very interesting, which I think will answer what they ask in Reb Chaim. What I want to say. But before that, let's just listen to hear this important yesod here. So there's another Eitzah. What's the Eitzah? And I take a saw, even though I don't have it. So wait a second. So what's the Eitzah? Eitzah is that she should start her babysitting services before Shabbos, a bit before Shabbos, or she should even do babysitting a bissel Matzah Shabbos, and then we can be mavliya the Schar Shabbos in Matzah Shabbos. It's not going to help us with the waiter. So I bezoi klerach hashayla zoi. L'chayra pashtus from Tosfos and from the Rishonim is mashma nishta zoi. That behavlo means a mavliya the miut in the roiv. But not to use an excuse where I can be mavliya it in a little bit. As I bich gemeint, until I found the Meridig Mitzia and it's a pelle, and no one's found it. It's in the Shittim Mukabetzes. In the Dorim Lamed Zayin, I found the Meridig Mitzia. So I must say, I know that there's a Mashag, which they bring down, that says that even if you're mavliya in a little bit, that's okay. Aber mehechatesa to say so. So Shittim Mukabetzes in Lamed Zayin says like this. Pat Melamed, yeah, goes the whole thing. Elmando mischa shimu hutu lekabel kein amorid ano v'lo ischa pesuk tamim klem mashna אבל אם הוא סוחי שבס, דהיינו שבוע אחד או שכי חיידש, או שנה, או שבוע, שהוא שמיטה, לא נסחה שבס. אבל פי שחשבוינם הוא לא סלוי דובר קוצוב לכל יום ויום. Okay, don't tell the Shibboleh Aleket about it. Mikol Mokoim, Hayil Uschoroi Lizman Meruba, Lefi Oisoi Hasach, Einoi Nira Sheloikeach Schirus HaShabbos, Ela Schirus HaShana. Oya Chodesh, Kefi Ma Sheyale Schum HaKoil. Uschirus HaShabbos, Muvla Bein Shar Yomim. So here's Mashma, that's got to be Shar Yomim. ונראה כאילו אין לקח מסחירס השבס כלום, אלא כל מה שלקח ממנו בסחירס ימי החול לקח, ומאחר שאיס סחירס אינו עושה אלא מדבריהם, היכה שאינו נראה כלקח סחירס שבס ממש בפרט, הקילו בוי ולא ירוצו לגזור בזה כלל. So from the beginning, Mashma is Biriroiv. At the end, he says that the Nakuda is it's Einoi Nira Kalakach Schiras Shabbos Mamish Befrat. What does that mean? Mamish Befrat. Don't know what he means. But it sounds what he's saying is that the Chazal didn't, the minute I've got a shtickle ahavlo, so in a case where you mamish make a complete chuchat lula from it, so then taka, it's not right to do it. And l'chayra hu adin matana. But in a case where it's taka a serious havla, even if it's miut, you'll be mat. So Mamela, I must say I didn't look in the Mashag, but it seems that a lot of the Mashag and other poskim are happy with a small amount havla. A small amount. So Kum Tosfos Machlokes, I would say that it's a Machlokes between Tosfos and the Rishonim, who's a Rabbeinu Yonah there from the Shittim Mukabetzes, and if I've got a Sofek, it's the Chasofek Drabonon, definitely one can be Mekel. So I've got a smach to those Achronim that are Mekel Ba'avlo. That's number one. That's one point which I want to make. The next thing which I want to say is like this. There's a Moridiga Tehillah L'David. I don't want to be too marich on this. A Moridiga Tehillah L'David, which everybody has to know. It's brought down in Siman Reish Mem Daled, Sif Cotton Yud Aleph, L'Gaba Meches. And he says here, Moridiga Yisrael, and he asks the Kasha, L'Gaba, when he takes over Yenes Meches, I don't know if you still remember, Reish Mem Daled, so he asks the Kasha there, why is it not Schar Shabbos? And he writes there, Yesoid Godel V'Noira, says the Tehillah L'David. Schar wrote down his Lashon. Schar Shabbos loy mikri elo keshahaguf shel hamaskir v'noitel ba'ad ha'peros kechol schirus ba'alma. Aval kesheloy keach mois ba'ad ha'guf ze mikri mechira ve'ein boy mishum schar Shabbos af shemarviach bozeh. So even though I'm being marviach with it, aber das ist nicht kein schar Shabbos. That's called a mechira. So for example, some of mikvois, they sell kigels and chulent and alamina sachen. So let's say you're missing Shabbos, there's an Erev, you're missing Shabbos, you want to go there and you need a kigel and a chulent, you buy it from him on Shabbos. Or do you go to his restaurant on Shabbos and you eat it? How can you pay after Shabbos? Schar Shabbos. Teretz says, wait a second, says the Teilot of it. Das ist nicht Schar Shabbos. Das ist a Mekach. A Mekach, I'm allowed to. Mekach, I'm allowed to. Schar is only schirus where I'm being soicha from the guf. But if I'm giving you the guf, what? I have to have a loss on that. So then, with Azar Heta, I can take that even further. In a case where I'm charging you for that, and then I also want to charge you bimavlia the rest in it, that may well be a heta. So on the actual Tillah of it, I must tell you, I don't understand Tillah of it, but Kabbalah on the Kabul, it's a Murdiga side. What? Oh, that's his raya, yeah. Because you're allowed to go in the shop, exactly. That's his raya, yeah. You're allowed to go to the shop. You're allowed to go and get something. If it's a tzorich mitzvah, then you're allowed to. I typically have Schar Shabbos. Teretz is Schar Shabbos is doing so. But Etzem Zach, I don't understand, because the whole Gzeira is, like we saw in Rashi in Ksubas, says it's because of Mekach HaMimka. So if I'm giving you the guf itself, his Ein Lecha Mekach HaMimka Godel Mizeh. But as if it is ox, it's in Furush Mishnah, you're allowed to. So, does the claw, that is a heta. So, Kumtais, if I come in a hotel room, and in part of the hotel room, if it's a schirus on Shabbos, but as part of that, I've also got a problem. The fellow's given me a fridge where I can take some food, and I've got other important things there, which are just as important. According to this Shitta Mekubetzes, it's a Nish Mamish Befrat, I've got a Hechatimsa of Havlah, even if I'm not Mavliya it in other days. Or example, I'm staying in the hotel. So, it could very well be like one of you mentioned, and I think it's a very stark heta, that if the hotel starts always the night, or the ribbis in a bank starts the night of the day, so come to us, I've always got a choshev of Motzah Shabbos. For me, the last thing I need to stay in Motzah Shabbos. Well, let's say, so B'meila, that's a Havlah, or the Erev Shabbos to Friday night, if it goes day and night, so that'll be a choshev Havlah, where there'll be a tzad heta. But let's say in a case where we said before, that this fellow comes along, and goes to this Shabbos do, he arrives just before Shabbos and goes after Shabbos, and you feel that the bit before Shabbos and bit after Shabbos is muvla, is a toffel, mamish a toffel, and you wouldn't want to apply the Shitta Mekubetzes to it. But it could be, if I've got other havlaws, like food, then there'll be takamutza. And Ataka saw that others want to say that if you are using the bed, you're using the bed. So they've got to now wash the linen in the bed. So you're being mafsid, you're sleeping on the bed, you're causing them to wash the linen on the bed. They're not mechuyev to be mafsid that. That is something which you've got no right to do.
The bed breaks is also
You're asking that. But you're coming along and you're being mafsid does the goof is shayla. So you're saying bishloim of food, you're eating the food, you can understand you want to be mavliya it into the meal. But you're saying it's a hishtamshus of the thing. It could be. I hear what you're saying. They want to say, I don't remember who it is who wants to say as our svara. Maybe if Shlomo Zalman wants to say as our svara. But since you're hiring a team, since a hotel is hiring a team to make the room ready for you, So Mamela, that part is a hefsed. Das ist nicht kein schar. It's not a schar. Huh?
Maybe it's Havlov Erev Shabbos.
No. He's talking about no. There is an expense where I've got a hefsed of ad kadei schari. You know what? There is. I think the Makar is a Shulchan Aruch Harav. Shulchan Aruch Harav says. Shulchan Aruch Harav. Oh yeah, you know where it is? Shulchan Aruch Harav in Sif Zayin. It says, Shulchan Aruch Harav says like this: a svara, he wants to be like Abba Matzil min Adleika. So he says, Sheme'acha shehitzel min ahefka nimtza shahakol shel hamatzil ela shehu moichel lebalabayis ala moisa ad kedei schorei. I brought down his lashon here. He says here, listen to this. Sheme'acha shehitzel min ahefka nimtza shahakol shel hamatzil. It all belongs to the matzil. Ela shehu moichel lebalabayis ala moisa ad kedei schoroi. Aval ad kedei schoroi eino moichel. So this fellow ran like a meshugana, went to the house, it was on fire, chapped it, took it, and ran like a meshugana. So he says, you know what? Das is ad kedei schoroi. Ad kedei schoroi. The eino nechshev schar Shabbos. So it could be that there is a zazach, that's something where I've got actually a hefset. But it's a good akasha what you're asking. At the end of the day, since that is the derech of schirus means, unless you're going to say no, schirus means I can use your horse and then I give you back a fartiger horse. But that you're going to soil all the towels and you soil the sheets and now I've got to now come along and rewash it. So you're doing me a hefset. Efshe dos nicht. So this comes out. I think that heter stems from Reb Shlomo Zalman. Now, what I want to say is this. What? Babysitter, no hefset. So a babysitter, you're like going to have that issue here. So I'll tell you what I want to say. I want to say Pshat is Azay. The Rambam. I'll tell you what I want to say. I want to say when the Rambam means in Chof Dalet, he's saying Azay. Vim loy rotza matzil lekachtoi. The matzil doesn't want to take it. V'nosnoi leba'olov, mutaloi little b'mena acha Shabbos schar amoloi. He's allowed to take schar amoloi. Says the Rambam, ve'ein zeh schar Shabbos, sharei ein shom or shem melocha, v'loi isa, sheloi hoitzia leba'mokem urev. So the Rambam learns, it's talking about there, you took it to a mokem urev. So I'm thinking, Azoi, there's two things. The Rambam's saying Azoi. Rambam doesn't mean to say that there's no melacha. It means there's not a melacha chashuva. It's not got a shem melacha chashuva that it's shayach to be koveya on it as schar Shabbos. And veloy issa, because of the over issa, then had been nehena from a ma'aser Shabbos. So Rambam's saying two things. One is it's not a melacha chashuva, and the other one is there's two types of schirus. If it's a schirus kelim, where the derech of the olam is, I'm shoyel it and I do it b'she'ela. So if you say there's an inyan of shvisas kelim is a malacha, according to Beis Shammai. But if we don't pasken like Beis Shammai, and we pasken like Beis Hillel, it depends what type of a keli it is. So if it's hiring a car, so it's taka going to have on him a shem malacha. But if it's not hiring a car, it's something where it's the derech for me to be shoyel, das ist nicht genug a shem malacha. A babysitter, steht in the Mishnah, das heißt auf sich a shem malacha. So again, using that yisoid, the zel bezach will be a matona, coming the other way around. If I'm giving a matona because it's the derech for me to give a matona, is one thing. But if I would never ever give it as a matona, and the whole thing is aroma ba'alma, then avada, it's going to be also. So komtois, we've got here Hayoytze midvarenu. We're going to have here a lot of heterim, which we've worked out, but some of them taka. So if you've got a dova she'ena melacha, it's not a melacha chashuva. So garnished. If you're going to have a havlah where the whole havlah is you're mavliya it, something which is a complete toffel to the ikka, So then, again, that's not going to be thing. If you go to bank where the ribbis goes from day to night, so it's punkta zay chashivas, my Erev Shabbos is just as much a chashivas, it's a choshev avlo, who are in a hotel. If that again is a proper choshev de gavlo, a waiter, the same thing. But if my whole schirus of the waiter is just for Shabbos, so then taka erachanami, is taka going to be an issa. You'll have to find another heter. You'll have to tell them they have to come up and then wash up all the cutlery after Shabbos. Otherwise, you're taka going to have a problem. Unless you're going to tell me it's a goyish waiter, and you're going to tell me there's no issa on the noisen at all, it's only an issa on the makabel, so maybe I can give it to him, the goyish waiter. But if it's a Yiddish waiter, then I'm taka going to have a problem. So kumtois, we've got here a lot of things, and l'cha'ira we're going to have machlokas. One should try to be machmir like the Mogan Avraham, who's machmir like the Shibbolei Aleket, but it's a door harbet stodim to be makel in a case where it's a chativa achas, one block as a schar shavua or shona, even though you might be able to be chayzer be'emtza. Yeah? Even though you might be able to chayzer. According to Mogan Avraham, even if you will be chayzer be'emtza, it's going to be a problem. The Seder. Okay, there's still a very lot to say on it, but the while we've said a lot of Yesodis, and it'll.
Babysitter normally for an hour. Normally do per hour. Because if you say £3 an hour, so you're paying for that Shabbos afternoon £3.
So it's a mamash proper schar Shabbos, a chomodig schar.
So they won't be able to be mavliya in Motzei Shabbos.
Yeah.
So be there. So you say.
According to Mogan Avraham, it's going to be a problem. Yeah. But what you do is,
in a block or something.
No, yeah, you do it as a you tell them to come in the morning before Shabbos or Motzei Shabbos, and you say this is a very important as part of the agreement.
And pay one price.
One price for the whole thing. We do it per week.
In my head,
It would still be better if you'd be mavliya it, beroiv. Be much better.
In beroiv, right? Even if you're doing this chechtim, so that you're paying.
If it's a dover chosher is one thing. He brings it from Rav Shlomo Zalman.
You mean a hemshech to this? You want to do another one?
I'll see. I don't know. I really want to start preparing it, but turn it off. I want to prepare. Yeah, switch it. Yeah.